In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of migrating your WP Engine WordPress website from WP Engine to another web host. So I will start off by saying that I have nothing against WP Engine. I think that they're a great service. I know that they've had a bit of controversy with WordPress themselves, but this has nothing to do with that. We simply have a VPS server that we're looking to consolidate our sites into. So we have a couple of WordPress sites left over in WP Engine, and I'm looking to move one more over to it. They also, they do have a migration process that I found about halfway through migrating a website. I was having some challenges. There was a number of issues that I had. Then I came across this, so this gave some answers, but I did run into a number of different issues that we're going to cover in this video. That's the reason I'm creating it. So there's a few steps that we're going to go through. We're going to first back up and prepare a zip file of our current website backup. We're going to go ahead and we're also going to export some plugin settings. Now this might be specific to a particular builder, but it's always still a good idea to do something like this. So we're going to go ahead and export plugin settings. I'm using Divi website builder on this particular website. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the server account and a database on the new server. I'm going to ensure that our PHP version is all set, ready to go. We're going to strip out some of the WP Engine specific files that they outline here in this migration process article. We've got to go ahead, we're going to do, or just basically update our SQL database. We're going to strip out some WP Engine specific URLs from there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to set some file permissions, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to import everything and ensure everything is working fine. So what we'll do is we're going to go start by logging into my WP Engine account, and I'm going to navigate to the site that I would like to back up, and I'm going to click on the site title here, and I'm going to navigate to backups. And it's obviously a good idea to create a backup right away, right before I'm about to do the migration. So I'll choose Create Backup. I'll title my backup and if I want to receive an email here, I can go ahead and put that in. Create backup. Now this backup's going to take some time here depending on the size of your website. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'm going to pause the video and then I'll come back. Okay, so I received the email and you can see here new backup successfully created. So what I have to do is click on these three dots beside it, and now I need to choose prepare zip. It doesn't do it all in one go. I'm going to choose full backup. I'm going to enter my email again, prepare zip. So once again, I'll go ahead and pause this until that is complete. Okay, and that's done now. Our download file or a zip file is ready, so I'm going to choose download zip. I have a folder created on my local machine here, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. So again, depending on the size of your website, and this is going to be 1.8 gigs, so it might take a little bit to download, and that's okay. So while that's downloading, I can go ahead and pause, and we'll come back to that. Okay, so our backup is done. What we're going to do is we're going to log into WP admin. Now this is still on WP Engine. And what I would suggest is that you find some of your critical plugins that might have some advanced settings in them. So for example, Divi, I mentioned Divi. They've got, if you go to theme options, there's a lot of theme options that have been customized for this site. And they have an option here to export your settings. Now I've run into issues where yes, you're importing your database into the new host, but not all the settings actually carry over. So if I click on this and I can choose export, and it's going to be Divi theme options. So I'll choose download export. It's going to create it. And I'm good. There it is. It prompts it. So I'll create a folder within here and I'm going to name it plugin settings. And I'll save that. I'll head over to Divi theme builder. And I'll choose that same option right here. Export Divi theme builder. Save that. Divi theme customizer. And this looks like the default WordPress customizer, but there's still this option right here to export that. We'll save that. Another one here, I know Smush Pro. I'll choose settings and we'll try to locate it here. Let's see, data and settings. So data, we can keep it, we can reset settings. Looks like that's okay. Maybe configuration. Yeah, so we're using the default configuration, so I think we're okay on this one. WordPress, or sorry, WordFence. Let's have a look here. All options. Let's go to tools. And again, this is going to be different for different plugins. So import, export options. So we can export these options. And again, this is only in the event that this data doesn't carry over. So you'll see WordFence, they're going to give you here an import token. So what I'll do is I will just open up a text editor and we'll bring it up top here. And we'll go WordFence and I'll just type it in here. So when I need it, we'll pull it up. Let's close that out. And I believe that is it for my plugins that I'm going to need to back up here. Okay, so let's go ahead, we'll close this out. Next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and we need to ensure that our account is created for this website on the new server. So my server is a VPS server with the ability to host multiple websites. If you are just basically transferring over to a shared hosting environment, then you may have access to just cPanel. Web Host Manager is what manages cPanel, so you may not have this access, but what we're going to go through, a lot of the settings are going to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create a new account, and I'm just going to copy my domain from here. I'm going to create a username. Oops. And what I like to do is I open up a text editor because I'm going to need these settings throughout. So I'm going to type in my domain, my server info, and then I'll remove all of this after, and I'm going to give it a username of 6fig, and I'll create a password. And of course I'm going to change these passwords after this video. Don't worry about mail routing, this is more specific for this server. Okay, so now the account is being created. We're going to open up cPanel. So this is going to be the view that you're most likely familiar with. And we need to create a database now. So I'm going to choose under databases, MySQL databases. I'm going to give my new database a name. I'm going to call it WP Site. Choose Create Database. We're going to go back. I'm going to scroll down. So we've created a database. Now we need to add a user to this database. So we need to create a user. I'm going to call this user Webmaster. And I will create a new password for this. And I will save that here before I complete this. So I'll type in database info, if I can spell it. So save that password. Let's go back, and that's going to be my username. And my database name was WP Site. So let's go here. Let's go ahead and create this user. Now you'll see here it says you've created this username 6fig_webmaster. So depending on your cPanel settings, and most likely it's going to be the case where Your server username is prepended to both the database name as well as the database user, not the password. So your database name should be this, and your database username should have this prepended. Okay. Oops. Let's undo that. Let's go back here. Choose go back. So we've created the database, we've created a user, but you'll see under current databases, and you'll see privileged users, you'll see that it's empty. So we actually have to give this user access to the database. So right here, add user to database. I'm going to choose add. And I'm going to choose all privileges. Make changes. Okay, so that is now done. Next thing I'm going to do is, so we created the server account, a database. We're going to just confirm that our PHP version is okay. And again, you may not have access to adjust this, so you may have to contact your web host regarding it. But if I go back to my WP Engine account and I head over to, I'm going to go back to sites. And where my site is listed, you'll see PHP version 8.2. So I'd like to have at least that version on my new host. And again, we need to, most hosts are going to have the latest versions, but it's going to be ideal to either match it up or have a newer version that is compatible with your current version of WordPress. So in my particular case, because I am using WHM, I can type in PHP, and I could choose multi PHP manager, which is an extension that I have installed here. And if this isn't applicable to you, then you can go ahead and you can skip past this. But I'm going to choose user domain settings. I'm going to navigate to my domain, and I'm going to ensure that I'm using PHP 8.2. Okay, so those settings are being applied. So what we can do, we're going to head back over to cPanel. We'll go to Tools. Now we need to go ahead and we need to prepare our file system, our backup. So we're going to go ahead and prepare this to upload to our new server. So let's go ahead and let's extract the zip file. All right, let's open up our folder. Now I can tell you right now, I'm going to, on my Mac, I'm going to hold Command Shift dot, and you'll see that my hidden files are now visible. So if you are on a Mac, you can hold Command Shift and period or dot. You click on that, it's going to toggle between file visibility. So we want to make sure your hidden files are visible, just because WordPress does deal with htaccess files as well as other hidden folders. So if you are on Windows or another platform, just ensure that is done. Okay. We will head back to this article provided by WP Engine, which I'll put in the description below, and it actually walks you through what we need to do. So create a backup checkpoint. We've done that. We've downloaded our backup. Now we need to go ahead and delete the following files. So let's do that. So let's navigate over to our WP content directory. And let's search for these files. So advanced cache, object cache, let's delete those. Let's open up this MU plugins folder. And let's just go through the list of files here. Anything WP Engine specific, we're not going to need. SLT 4 strong passwords, we don't need. So we'll get rid of that. And I believe that's it. It's not saying about this one here, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to leave that. Okay. Now, it says upload the rest of your files, new environment. Your database can be found here. So, this is something that WP Engine does as part of their backup, is they put your database backup inside of the WP content directory. So this does not actually live there on their server, but when you export a backup, this is where it's placed. So I'm going to get that out of here, because we obviously don't want that uploaded in our WP content directory. That would be insecure. So let's just drag that up here. Let's get it. Ooh, one more. Let's try that again. Okay. Let's head back into here. The next thing we need to do is our WP config file needs to be restored to the default WordPress template. So let's open that up. So wp-config.php, open that up in my text editor, and you'll see that there's a lot of WP Engine specific data that's being added here. Okay, so we don't need any of that. So what we'll do is I'm going to just search it up here real quick. WordPress default WP config, and I'll navigate to this GitHub link here, and I'll place this in the description below as well. I'm going to choose copy raw file. I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, so we need to update our database settings in order to make our new site work. So database name, let's just copy it from here, and again, this is why I place it in just a text file so I can easily navigate to. Database name, username, password. Scroll down below and you'll see that there is this section here for authentication keys and salts. So we're simply going to open up this URL, and you'll see on every refresh it just randomly generates new keys. So we're going to copy this, head back over, and just totally replace this section right here with what we copied. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll save this. We'll close it out. We'll head back. We can close this tab as well as this one. We'll head back over here. So we've gone ahead, we've stripped out WP Engine specific files. One more thing that I like to do, not required, but your SQL database backup, I'm going to pop that open into a text editor. And it may be a big file, so it might take a second to load here. Okay, that's loaded up. So I am going to do a find, and I'm going to type in WP Engine. Now, WP Engine gives you a specific dedicated URL for your website, and you'll see mine is right here. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to find that, and I'm going to replace it with what my final domain is. And I'm going to replace it throughout this document. Okay, so we've gone ahead and replaced that. WP Engine says it's not required, but I still don't like instances of that in my database. And I mean, by instances, that was over 4,000 entries that we just replaced. So let's go ahead, we'll save that. We'll close it out. Now, what we need to do is we are going to navigate to File Manager. And like I did on my local directory, I like to go to Settings, and I always choose Show Hidden Files. Let's open up our public HTML, where all of our public files need to live. I'm going to first delete this htaccess file because I know that I have one as part of my backup that I'm uploading. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to compress it. Pretty big file. It's going to be 2 gigs. All the more reason to compress it and upload it, because if I'm going to upload that many files, it's going to take a very long time. So it's going to be much quicker to compress it, upload your zip file, and then use cPanel's extraction tool. Okay, that's complete. So let's choose upload. We'll drag this over here. And while we're doing that, let's go back and let's also upload our MySQL file. And I'm going to show you why I'm uploading it to the root directory. Okay, you can see our uploads are complete, so I'll choose go back. Let's go ahead, we'll extract our archive. And while that's going on, let's go back to, close that one out, go back to the cPanel homepage. I'll choose phpMyAdmin. I'll choose my database, and I'll choose import. And you'll see right here, browse your computer, maximum 50 megabyte SQL file limit or zip file limit to upload our database. And you saw that my file was a lot larger than that. So there's ways to overwrite this, but I found that can be a little bit complicated. You're overriding default server settings. So we're going to upload our database in a different way. So let's close phpMyAdmin. Let's go back here. That's still extracting. And done. So let's close it out. Because I'm on a Mac, you'll see the files get compressed with this default _ Mac OS X folder. So I like to delete that as well as my archive. Let's delete it. Skip the trash. Let's head over back to WHM. Now, I am going to use the terminal inside WHM. And then again, this only applies if you have a very large database. If you do not, just upload it through phpMyAdmin like I mentioned. So tools, phpMyAdmin. I'll show you real quick. Click your database, choose import, browse for your file, and you're going to import it. Super simple. Because I have a large one and I have access to WHM, I'm going to search for terminal, and I'm going to do it within here. Okay? So if you don't want to use terminal, you can always SSH into your server as well. Again, that's a little bit more advanced. So the first thing I need to do is I need to change my directory over to my new server account. So cd home /6fig, which was my account. So now I'm here. And actually, you know what? We need to go into public _HTML. Oh, no such file. Let's see that again. So cd public _HTML. There we go. Now we're in here. So now I'm going to paste in a command that I'll place in the description below. And this is going to go ahead and we're going to import our database. So this is going to be our database username, our database name, again prepended with your server username, and then this is going to be your SQL file name, and it needs to be in the directory that we're working in, which is public HTML. Okay, we're going to click enter, and because it's a large database, it may take a little time to process, but it'll move down to the next line as soon as it's complete. And again, if this is a little bit too advanced, there's other ways to go ahead with larger databases. Oh, here we go. It's requesting the password, of course. So I'm going to grab my database password. Let's head back over. We're going to paste it and hit enter. You won't see it because it's command line. So like I was saying, your server hosts, they can always assist you with this if you have a large database. There's multiple other tools as well. But in most cases, you're not going to have a database over 50 megabytes for a standard shared hosting website. And my import is complete. You'll see that I have an error here. It says access denied. It was some additional settings as part of my export. I did open up my SQL file and ensured that this is not going to have any impact on it. Hopefully it won't see any sort of error there, but it's always a good idea to go in and see if it looks like it's anything critical. Okay, so what we've done, we've just imported our database. Now the next portion is something that is critical, which I noticed, and I'm not sure if it's a default setting when exporting a backup from WP Engine, but if I go over to my file manager, you'll notice that my folder permissions, you'll see under permissions, they're at 700, and that my file permissions are 664. Now, in general, we want the folders to be 755 and our files to be 644. The folders are going to be critical. So what I did was I initially updated the permissions of kind of all the top level folders, but there's so many nested folders that it was causing a nightmare. So I needed to find a way to recursively update permissions for them. And we're going to do that right now, again through the terminal. So if you're using terminal, you can do it through here, or SSH from your local machine to your server, or contact your host for assistance with this, okay? But again, I've got a couple more commands here in order to do that. So I first need to ensure that I'm still working in the public directory for my current website, which I am. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this command in. And this is going to go ahead and recursively search for all the directories in the site and change the permissions to 755. So I'm going to click enter. And that is now done. Now I'm going to paste in another command. And this is going to update all files to 644. And now that's done. So let's head back over to File Manager, and now let's just do a refresher. Click Reload. And you'll see my permissions on the right-hand side, 755, and the files are 644. If I click on WP Content, you'll see within the directory as well, they've been updated. Okay, so that's super important. Let's go up a level. One more thing we need to update in terms of permissions. WP config, we are going to change this, change permissions, and we are going to change it to 600. So I'll just uncheck these two. Change permissions. Let's go up a level, or actually no, in this directory. Let's find our MySQL file. We need to delete this as well. We don't need this here. Okay, so now at this point, our website, our database, as well as the file system has been imported into the new host. Okay, so at this point, we need to go ahead, we need to update our DNS settings. We need to point our domain over to the new web host, which is currently pointing over to WP Engine. So here I am in my DNS settings for my domain, but first I'll head back over to WP Engine and I will click on the website title here. I will scroll down to domains. The three dots beside the primary domain I'll click on, and I will choose View DNS Details. And you'll see that these are the records that I should have set currently, but we need to update these. So I have A records here set. And you can see them right here, these two A records. So what I will do is I'm going to delete the bottom one here. And then I can delete the top one and add an, you know what, let's just do that. Let's delete it. And now I am going to go ahead, I'm going to add a new one. I choose add new record. I'm going to choose an A record. Okay, and this now needs to point to @ and I'm going to paste in the IP address for my new domain, so for my new server, I should say. So I could point my website by a name server over to my new host, but in this case, I'm just going to use an IP address. Okay, I'm going to choose save. Then I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to look for my W records, because right now I've updated it so my domain itself, the sixfigurecoach.com, will point to my new host. But oftentimes, well, I shouldn't say often, because oftentimes W is pointed to this. So wherever this points to, it's going to work. But in my case, I have W also pointed over to WP Engine. So what I can do is I can delete the records here. And I'll leave one W in there, and I can update it, and I can either point it to the same IP, or I can choose a CNAME, and I can just point it, let's see here, the CNAME should be W, and that should just point to my A record here. So if I choose save, let's see if that works. Yes. So now my W record, let's see where it is. Right here is going to point to the main domain. Okay, so the primary domain, the root domain there. Okay, so when it has W added, it's going to point to the same location, which is what we want. Okay, so now our website has been pointed over to the new domain. So at this point, DNS updates can take some time, up to 24 hours, they say, to reflect. Now, I've noticed, again, depending on the server, the DNS provider, oftentimes they can happen a lot quicker than that. So let's just try to visit the site. And I'm getting a connection error, and it's probably because I notice these servers come with auto SSL enabled, so you have an SSL certificate. So I will choose SSL. And again, you probably don't need to do something like this, but I need to have a look here on my server. I probably just need to reset it in order to get it working. Let's go back. Let's try that again. SSL status. And what I can do is I can select it all, and I will go run auto SSL. It's just going to run it again, and then this should kick in here shortly so that we don't see this error. But that I'm seeing this error is telling me that it is actually pointed now to my new server, which is a bonus. Now, right away I'm noticing I've got the default Divi logo, and again, if you're not using Divi, that's fine. Hopefully your site works at this point, okay? And most likely it should. But in my case, I do notice that there are some issues with some plugins in Divi, so this is where the next step comes in as far as importing some of those additional things we exported. And for Divi, I will head over to Divi, and I'll start with theme options. And then I will choose that same icon here to import it. I'll choose import, choose file, find my folder, plugin settings, theme options, import theme options. And you'll see it's updated there. We'll go to theme builder. We'll do the same. I'm going to choose override. Okay, that's done. And then the last one for Divi was theme customizer. Let's cancel that. Let's see. Let's save changes there. Okay, head over to theme customizer. So now I'll choose that same icon up here. Import customizer settings. And let's import those. I'm not worried about creating a backup first because, again, this is a site that I'm transferring over. And now, so that concludes the Divi customizer or Divi imports. I had a couple of others. One had to do with word fence, so let's copy that token key that we had. Let's head back over to my dashboard. Word fence, tools. I think it was in tools. Yeah. Let's go import. Looks like most of that imported anyway, but let's go ahead and do it anyway. Import word fence options. We successfully imported it. What else was there? Word fence, that might have been it. Yeah, I think that was it. So now let's go ahead and view my website. You'll see it's still showing not secure, but again, that's something specific to my server right now. It is going through the process of updating it, and it will update and show secure shortly. So it looks like everything has been transferred over. Everything is displaying properly right now, with the exception of the SSL that you see up here. That's something specific, and it's common on this server. So again, that's why I do that SSL reset, and then usually within the about 20 minutes or so that resets, and then the site will be displaying as secure. So that basically concludes everything in order to move WP Engine over to another web host. Again, there was just a few things that I ran into issues on in terms of file permissions and some of the specific WP Engine content within the WP config file, as well as the WP content folder, things that we removed. So hopefully that helps you out and ensures a smooth transition.